welcome to the second episode of Quirks.
Woohoo!
I'm excited for this one. We're going to be talking about lucid dreaming, but before we get started, I kind of just wanted to check in with everyone, ask how our weeks have been. I just had a birthday.
How old are you now?
I'm 22 years old.
Wow, you are ancient.
I know, right?
Happy birthday.
Ancient.
Thank you.
Awesome. What'd you do for your birthday?
I went to Rowena Crest and went hiking, and then I went to a comedy show, which was so funny.
Who'd you see?
It was a showcase, so it was called The Dirty Dozen. It was at Helium Comedy Club, if you guys have ever been there.
I've heard of it.
It's so good. The comics there were hilarious, and I'm inspired every single time I go.
Comedy's hard to do. I have a lot of respect for comedians. It's not an easy thing to do.
You say you were inspired, so are you wanting to get up there?
I've done it twice so far.
Wow.
I've done it twice, and it's been so much fun.
It seems completely nerve-wracking.
It is. It's like falling in love, but very quickly, and you just get all those emotions and butterflies all at once. It's awesome.
Wow.
So, are there any recordings of you?
Hidden?
Hidden?
She's not ready to give it,
I'm not
open it
ready.
up to the world yet.
I'm gonna get back up there though. I was thinking about it thoughtfully, and I think I'm really gonna get back up there. But yeah, other than that,
Awesome.
It was a good birthday. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. I spent a couple of my days of my week trying to get this damn computer working again after we had a minor glitch in the system. But other than that, got my dog back, and it's been just a long week. What about you, Profi?
My week's been kind of average. Did a little beer brewing actually. I'm a part of a brewery that recently opened up here in South San Francisco.
That's right.
And spent a couple days, about 12 or 13-hour days working there. Got to learn the panel a little bit, and my buddy's showing me how to actually control some of the brewing.
We're going to have to talk about beer brewing one day on the show. I think that would be fascinating.
Yeah.
And have John Tucci on.
Yeah. The problem with that is that he's always there, so we'd have to really schedule that one. But he'd be fun.
We'll take a road trip.
Yeah, I can't wait to go
there.
to San Francisco, actually. I need to do that soon.
Should we try to operate the show from the brewery?
That would be interesting.
Oh,
we'd have to do a completely different setup for it, but it might be fun, actually. I'm sure we could figure it out. Couldn't be that complicated, right?
We have long tables there with good backdrops.
Yeah, you just do one camera at the end of the bar, and we just all sit there with a beer and just talk bullshit for an hour and a half.
I love it. And then didn't you say you've been doing a boot camp recently?
Yes. So I have I go up and down with my weight. I've been struggling with it for most of my life. My dad's a big guy. I think he's about 350 pounds, and genetically I'm predisposed to being heavier. And I what's interesting, I'm 42 years old and I still have body issues in terms of just, looking at myself and being disgusted with how I look sometimes. And I go up and down. I've been that way for my entire life. Obviously, when I was doing a lot of drugs, it was easier to keep my weight off, but I don't do nearly that many anymore, so I have to work really hard, especially at the age I'm at. I started this thing in Portland called boot camp, which I'm sure people know what boot camp is. You go into the Army and they work your ass off. Well, they do. This is called Portland Fit Body Boot Camp, and it's high intensity workouts. It's like P90X, if anybody knows what that is. It's really hard. I started upping my I started going 5 days a week, so I can't even think of the frequency. Yeah, sorry, I'm a little slow today. So I'm at 5 days a week now. But then when I got to 5 days a week, I started doing doubles. I started doing double classes. I go for the 8 o'clock class, and then I do the 9 o'clock class too. So last week I did 7 classes, 2 back to back. So I've been working really, really hard. And the frustrating thing is that I'm actually not dropping weight. I'm actually gaining it, which I have to assume means that I'm putting muscle on.
Are you eating more?
Yeah.
Well, same.
Yeah. It's not good to focus solely on weight. I would focus just on how you're feeling and looking, because there is that whole muscle thing. Muscle I think weighs more than fat does.
Yeah.
So if you're really doing a high intensity workout and building muscle, it's your weight.
I'm sure I am. I could see my arms starting to thicken up again, and even my trainer says my posture is changing. So I know that it's just about consistency at this point.
Yeah,
so what we're gonna do, we're gonna start doing Scott's weekly weigh-in. So I did it this morning. I'm 215 right now. My target weight, which in my mind is my perfect weight, I would think for me, just because of where I've been in the past, is probably 180. So what is that? 35 pounds? 45 pounds?
Oh,
no.
That's a big that's a big dip. I think I'm at about 180 right now.
Yeah. So 180 is, I think, depending on how much muscle I have, maybe 190. If I'm working really hard, maybe I need to be 190 if I'm putting a muscle on, But we're going to start doing the weekly weigh-in, and we're going to see how it's changing.
With before and after pictures at some point.
Yeah, I'm not doing any before pictures right now. We'll give before as soon as I get to where I'm going, then we'll start posting before pictures because I'm not, like I said, I got body image issues, man. I always have. So I'm not going to post my fat belly up online right now, even though it's probably not even a big deal, but
maybe we could post your fat belly online once you've lost the fat belly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do that afterwards because then people can see, he started here, went to there. It's a completely different perception if you do it that way and as opposed to just showing the before pictures.
Right, like here's where I am. I don't know where I am
right now. Right. Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Cool. Well, it'll be fun to see your progress. You're putting in a lot of work in a way that I couldn't do. I can't go to gyms. I can't do stuff like that. But there's been many times where I've wanted to lose weight as well. So I have to do biking or something where I have like a destination that's separate from the actual health concern. So I
can't do the gym either, by the way. I get bored out of my mind. And not only that, I don't push myself nearly as hard as someone else pushing me, which is why I paid all this money to go to this boot camp.
Yeah, you're accountable.
Because I'm accountable and I can't leave. And also, it costs a lot more money than the gym. And now that I'm paying this much money for it, it's almost like a guilt thing, like because I'm locked into it. I can't not pay it now.
Yeah.
It's $200 a month, and I feel super guilty when I don't go to the classes, which is exactly why I did it, because I wanted that pressure of having to go. And the trainers are awesome. I get my ass kicked. I mean, there are days when I can't even move. I'm so sore afterwards.
That's so good.
Yeah.
You probably get such support there, too.
They're awesome. The people are so nice, and the trainers are great, and everyone's high-fiving. Good job, you got through that. And, I'm like almost puking. Good
that
job,
doesn't happen at the gym.
No, not at all.
No.
Which is why I picked this place.
It's silent celebrating at the gym for me.
Totally.
Cool. Well, a lot of shit has been happening in our world recently. In Profi, you have a long list of stuff.
Yeah.
That you kind of want to share. I think you should, or a little list of stuff. A list in general.
Yeah, there were just a couple of things that I saw just as recent news items that I thought would be kind of fun to talk about a little bit. Let's see here. One of which I found a little bit shocking. The headline is hundreds of apps using ultrasonic signals to silently track smartphone users.
Whoa.
And so from what I gather here, there's noises, like they've set up apps to basically spy on you without you knowing it. And so let me just start with the front.
Connor, would you bring up the article here up on the main screen?
Yeah, I'll read the very beginning because it kind of describes what it is. It says, your smartphone may have some apps that are continuously listening to inaudible high-frequency ultrasonic sounds from your surroundings, and they know where you go, what you like and dislike, all without your knowledge.
What the hell?
Weird.
So this is being used by marketers and advertising companies, which makes me think it's probably being used by government if they like you a lot. But basically, they're able to secretly gather data, and that data identifies your habits without you even knowing it. And that's a really, to me, a really kind of scary thing, because we already give up so much of our privacy and control over information about ourselves, just even by Facebook or anything else. And this is a way that just having a phone on you can kind of give all that information out and more, far more information than you think. It might be listening to all sorts of things you're doing or not doing or whatnot.
Do they explain exactly how it works? I mean, is it based on Wi-Fi or what? Can you?
I'll read a little bit more here. It says, for example, retail stores you visit, a commercial on TV, or an advertisement on a web page can emit a unique ultrasonic audio beacon that can be picked up by your device's mobile application containing a receiver. This information helps advertisers to create your personalized profile and collect your interests by figuring out that both devices probably belong to you, allowing them to target you with interest-based advertisements.
Wow. Are we all really that surprised?
Well, is there a list of these apps that it could be? We can just check on our phones and see if we have them and get rid of them.
I didn't see any sort of extensive list.
Yeah.
The article goes on to mention some SDKs that do this. So that's basically stuff apps are using to make this work. And I think this probably deserves, a little more research just moving forward to see how this is going. Well, I talked to a friend of mine who's a security guy that I worked with. He was the head of security at a company I was just at. And I asked him if there were any known ways to block this kind of thing, if anybody had created apps that would, remove this. And he didn't seem to have any quite yet. So
what was that movie with Tom Cruise where it was Minority Report? Do you remember seeing that?
Do not.
He walk into there's a scene when he walked into the mall and it's like, hello, John, whatever his name was. I forgot what his name was in the movie, but we'll just say John Smith. Hello, John Smith. Would you like a new pair of Gap jeans? And as he's walking through the mall, all these sensors are picking him up and like advertising to him, like saying his name.
That's some Black Mirror stuff.
It is Black Mirror stuff, but I really do think that we're heading towards that. I mean, I think it's inevitable.
I still
that
think
they're going to target it toward the more information they gather on each and every individual, they're going to start targeting advertising, especially when AI starts happening.
Yeah.
It becomes more prevalent. I think they'll have the power to do that, targeting to not just a group of people, but to you.
Specifically, play on your heartstrings.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
One thing in here that kind of, I don't know, shocked me a little bit is one line. It says, moreover, the researchers found that 4 of the 35 retail stores they visited in Germany have ultrasonic beacons installed at the entrance. And the reason why that confused me is because Germany, since the war, has had some of the strongest protections of personal data. From a corporate level, I know that Germany has always been a concern when I've worked at different companies because you're not allowed to collect a lot of types of data about the people that are using your services. They have really, really strong protection. So for them to find this kind of stuff there, who knows how broad it could be here. It's a weird thing to see that.
Who knows what they have that no one even knows about.
Yeah, definitely. So I think for anyone listening, and I think for ourselves, it's probably something to watch. One of the things on here that I guess to close this particular one up that I thought was interesting, it said that in fact a team of researchers last year demonstrated that how ultrasonic sounds emitted by ads on a web page accessed through Tor can be used to de-anonymize Tor users by making nearby phones or computers send identification information, such as location and IP, back to advertisers.
Wow.
And Tor, for anybody who doesn't know, is a browser that you can use to access the dark web and all sorts of crazy things. And the entire premise behind Tor is privacy. So this kind of finds a way to get around that, and it's something to know for anybody who likes to wander through the deep dark web.
Also, I think something to mention here, ultrasonic, I assume, would mean a sort of a high frequency that would be inaudible to somebody's ears that is encoded into some sort of message or some sort of, right? Is that what they're talking about?
That's how I understand it. Ultrasonic is really, really high frequency data that we wouldn't hear.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Was this study only done on Android applications as well? Because I'm looking at it and it only talks about Android apps.
Well, they mention for iOS users kind of how to go to see what apps have requested access to your microphone, because I think that's fundamental to this. I don't know. It doesn't. You're right. A lot of it does refer to Android. It doesn't talk a lot about the iPhone, but I would guess that it's the same. I mean, there's really no reason why it'd be any different. It just accesses your microphone, and so. Again, something to look into, but I thought this was an interesting news item because this is like a whole nother level of spying, essentially.
Right.
It's kind of weird and a little bit troubling.
Thanks for just scaring us more.
Right.
Here's another thing that might scare you if you're attempting to be a citizen. Another interesting thing
on the planet.
of anywhere. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that many people may have caught this one, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Somebody running for office in Montana body
I heard about
slammed
this.
and punched a reporter who
Yes.
asked a question he didn't like. And it says Fox News crews were there, and they were watching in disbelief as it
Yeah.
happened.
Were they watching and recording? Because I'd like to see this.
I don't think there was any video of it. From what I
Really?
understand, it was
There's-
just
There's audio.
yeah, I heard the audio.
Oh.
Yeah, but I didn't see any video. Or
Did the
there was
guy
video.
win? By the way, did he win? Because I think what happened after I read the story or at least watched the video, that he was still in the running for it and that he was even getting close to winning.
I think he won.
Do we know? Oh wow.
Oh
He
my
won.
God.
Oh, Connor says he won.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He did
Wow.
win.
Okay, so let's think about that for a second, guys. Let's think about like where the human species, like where we're at in America, at least.
What we're allowed to do.
What is deemed okay. You can still win political office and body slam a reporter to the ground. Things have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I think it's a much bigger discussion than probably to have here, but I think this last election has really brought out a different sort of confidence in controversial positions that people are exercising. You know, a lot of people have some really crazy thoughts about the world and what's acceptable, and they seem to be more inclined to show that publicly, I guess I'd say.
Weird.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
So-
I don't even know how to respond to that, honestly.
Yeah, just something to internalize and think about. It's just a weird change. I was very shocked.
Well, I
But,
mean, we see it all the time with Trump. I mean, all the things that he's getting away with. It's amazing to me. It's like there's no accountability anymore, at all. Where's all the accountability gone? Like, why are there no repercussions for some of these things? I mean, is it that we are desensitized to it now? I would imagine that has to be part of it. You know,
I think it's probably a bit big of a discussion for here, but I think my take on it simply would be that a large part of this country has felt underrepresented and pissed off as a result, and this is kind of their way to get back. You know, by letting this sort of stuff happen. I think that people are lashing out,
right,
and they're accepting inappropriate behavior as a result.
This just frightens me for the future politicians and people who are going to be seen in the public eye.
Future journalists too.
They grow. Well, that generation is growing up knowing that these things are okay, and this is what's normal to them now. If they're just if they're in their developmental years right now, and seeing all this stuff happen with all the elections and whatnot that have been going on.
Yeah, what's interesting is that a lot of the other countries have been, you know, getting better and more bold speaking out against this type of stuff. So the progression that it felt like we were making has been completely reversed. But you look at Canada and now the new leader of France, who in a press conference with Putin actually pretty much stuffed it to him right there.
I heard about that too.
News and stuff. So there's some other leaders around this world who are kind of finding a new strength to stand up to a lot of stuff.
America is way behind on a lot of stuff. I mean, you even look at like renewable energy. Isn't Germany on completely 100% solar, or at least renewable energy now? And a lot of other countries are following.
They're not at 100. They're not at 100%. They've made some huge strides. They've been decommissioning their nuclear facilities and been, you know, they're definitely a world leader, I think, or at the top of the pack or close to it for that kind of.
But my point is that America seems to be falling behind on a lot of things, like human rights and renewable energy, and we just seem to be last. We just seem to be last on a lot of forward-thinking ideas.
Well, you know what? A news item I wasn't really thinking of bringing up originally, but I think kind of is to your point right now, is that Angela Merkel, the leader of Germany, commented after all the big meetings with Trump and everything that Europe can no longer rely on America's leadership and needs to now basically go it alone.
Yeah.
That's a huge statement.
Absolutely. But it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I totally believe that.
Since Brexit, England, and then since Trump, the U.S., you know, they've pretty much lost leadership, and most people now consider her the leader of the free world. And that's the leader of Germany, the chancellor. And that's a huge deal. That shows how much things have changed, and it's very sad because the U.S. has done so much good to help create a lot of the stability in the Western world that we've enjoyed throughout our years. So that's a really strange shift, you know.
It's there. I read this article about a new. I don't know if you guys play video games at all. I don't have a lot of time to do it, but once in a while I get into a video game, and there's a series called Far Cry, which I've been into for a long time. And essentially the premise of Far Cry is there's some notorious leader takes over some region, and you go in and you shoot it all up and you know, help people to regain their freedom. Well, this new one, Far Cry 5, is based on white supremacy in America, which, you know, like basically America falls apart, cult leaders take over. It's really interesting to see that happen in a topic for a video game, or at least in a treatment or a storyline. It's interesting to see it go there. That would be a first. That's a first for me, seeing a storyline like that in a video game, which obviously is prevalent in people's minds.
Yeah,
because they're creating video games about it now, about where the future of America is going. It's a little bit scary. It does scare me. It's almost there are parts of me that want to leave, don't want it, you know, to go live in another country, because it seems like it's all got to break here first before it gets better.
Well, I mean, if we leave, we need to be the ones who are trying to make it better. Leaving won't do a lot.
Right.
Yeah. Grass is always greener, right?
Right.
I mean, every place has its problems.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think to maybe lighten things up a little, this next one, I don't know that there's much to discuss about it, but I think that I just wanted to read the headline because it's funny. I read that scientists have recently discovered our oldest known ancestor, and the headline that went with this. And I don't know if you can bring it up because there's a picture of that, an artist's conception of what it looks like. But the headline is, "Our oldest ancestor was tiny floating bag with huge mouth and no anus."
Wait, is there a picture?
There's a conceptual drawing. If you've got it up.
I want to pull that up.
Hold on. Wait. Oldest ancestor, is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay,
hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, will you bring that up, Connor?
I just thought that was too funny.
Our oldest ancestor was tiny floating bag with huge mouth and no anus. And wow.
I think it kind of speaks for itself, but I thought that one needed a little bit of time.
Okay, let's just go back up to this picture here. That's interesting. How do they know that? How do they know this?
Well, they're just studying its remains, you know. And,
okay.
And it has one opening. I guess it
strange.
handles things
differently.
Yeah. Let's just leave it at that. But I thought that headline deserved a little airtime. So, next, one thing I wanted to bring up just because it's probably something to think about. People love dogs and different animals, cats, of course, both real popular, of all different types. And one thing that vets have now started to say is that people should stop buying pugs and bulldogs and other animals like this.
Yeah.
And the reason why, and I didn't know that it was this intense of a problem, but most of the characteristics that people buy those animals for, and apparently the characteristics of a lot of the famous internet cats that you see with like droopy tongues,
like the squishy face,
all that kind of stuff, that they're genetic defects that we've intentionally bred into those animals, and they cause them a huge amount of suffering and medical problems.
Will you bring this up, Connor?
Sinus issues. You know when a pug or a bulldog is around.
Yeah.
You can hear them.
Yeah, because they have I have a friend who has a bulldog, and she says it has breathing problems all the time.
It's just like,
yeah,
like all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Goes.
So apparently, from this article, they're saying that they're bred. Look at oh my gosh, look at that tongue. Wow, it looks retarded.
And it's not even just the face. You know, like the coiled tail that comes with the pug. It can lead in severe. It can lead in its most severe form to paralysis.
Wow.
And it's funny if you scroll down, if you have the article up.
Yeah, I have it up.
Pictures of paintings from what pugs originally looked like.
Oh wow! And they actually had noses and like snouts.
Yeah.
Wow.
So just something to consider for everyone out there. And you know, if you're looking for a new family pet, maybe consider that those cute little smashed face animals, you might be doing a little more harm than good by perpetuating them as a species like that. They should probably be allowed to go back to their original form.
Right. I agree.
Kind of a weird one, something to think about.
For sure.
And then, last but not least, something that really affected me when I heard about this, and probably really affected you guys because it happened in your neck of the woods. But this last week, there were a couple girls on a train in Portland.
Yeah, which is where Cody and I live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Destiny Magnum, who's 16, and a friend, I guess were verbally assaulted initially by some asshole. I'll just leave it at that. And when some good people, we'll read their names actually, Ricky John Best, Talesian Mirden Namakai Mechi. I don't know if I slaughtered that name. And Micah Fletcher. The first two died in this encounter while defending Destiny Magnum. They stepped up to get in the face of the asshole, and they all three were then attacked. The first two, their throats were slashed, and they died. And the third, Micah, apparently is in the hospital with some pretty significant...
Yeah, he's in serious condition right now still.
Yeah. So I don't know, you two, I'd love to hear kind of how this has affected you, because I mean, wow, this is right down your street practically.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking emotional thing.
I cried.
So many people are crying, but just a huge thank you to the people who do stand up, and all of these men who stood up for these two girls who were just being completely bashed with words from some psycho. It says a lot just about their character, that they felt compelled to speak up, and that just, it's amazing. And I was reading about the parents talking about their who's Talesian's mom and his girlfriend, and just like they're not surprised, they're not shocked that it was them it was him who stood up. It's hard to talk about.
I spent a day, I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of anger. I'm going to be completely honest with everybody. I had a day, or at least a couple hours in my day, where I was just fantasizing about being on that train, and just like I just wanted to, in my mind, I wanted to just kill the guy. I wanted to, I'm not a violent person, but I was so angry and so upset. You have to understand, my wife rides the train home. Naomi rides the train home from work a lot. And
that same train.
Yeah,
right?
that same train. And she could have, and knowing her, she would have done the same thing. And I would have done the same thing. But she rides the train more than I do. And she could have very easily have been one of those people who had gotten stabbed, because she would have said something, and she would have been dead. And I think that part of my anger came from the fear, of thinking about that. Mm-hmm. I was not okay in the head for a day after hearing that, because it really hits close to home for me. It's sad, and it's weird that it's Portland. You think that this town's all filled with a bunch of hippies who want to save the world, but I guess it's not. There are dangerous people everywhere. It's weird. It's definitely weird. I was not happy about it.
Well, they're big heroes for stepping in, and it sucks that they had to pay the ultimate price for it. And
I know, I agree.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but just wanted to. I'm glad you brought that story up. It was important to touch on that and share our gratitude. And
yeah, I'm very grateful as well.
I know online, you can Google it. There are places to donate to support not only the girls, but the families of the folks who were murdered.
Do we have a link for that?
And the Micah who's in the hospital. Yeah, we're gonna pull up a link.
All victims donate to Portland. Hold on, crowdfunding efforts for. Oh wow, crowdfunding efforts for Portland stabbing victims top 1 million days after attack.
$1 million.
$1 million. Holy crap! Well, that I just got chills reading that. Let's see if we can find a link here. GoFundMe campaign started by Portland area restaurateur Nick Zukin has bought more than $317, $317,000. There's all kinds of GoFundMes. Like there's not just one. I guess if anybody wants to donate to the families of the people who died,
or the girls too,
or the girls, yeah. You can probably Google GoFundMe Portland. I'm not sure what the link is, but if you guys can see this, there at least is an article that talks about it, and there may be some links here, but this is on OregonLive.com. So, yeah, if you guys want to donate to that, I'd definitely Google it and see. They say there are 3 different GoFundMes. So,
and maybe something we should talk about on this topic is obviously unfortunate, like crazy, dangerous situations occur, but it shouldn't stop us from speaking up for people who are being put down.
I agree. I think that things like this tend to make us more fearful of standing up for what's right, and I think that the world will only get worse if we stop. Because essentially this guy's a terrorist, and what the goal of terrorists is to incite terror in people so that they stop living their lives the way that that they normally would. And I think that if we stop standing up for what's right, then they win. I know it's super cliche. Well, if we don't do this, then the terrorists win. But that's really this is a really good example of that. If you stop speaking up for what's right, then the terrorists do win.
These are the moments when we need to speak up the most.
Yeah, I agree.
It's too easy to be scared.
Absolutely. Wow. All right.
We should take a deep breath.
Sorry, guys, we're making this super dark, but needed to be talked about. So
I agree.
And we live in Portland, so it's this hits close to home for Cody and I both, and also for Naomi, who like I said, she rides the train a lot.
So everyone here.
Yeah.
It's a somber tone.
Yeah.
Of the town.
Well, should we lighten it up? Should we move on to the next thing?
Sure. I kind of, some of this is a little bit of a true or false thing that I wanted to go over. There's just some funny factoids I read, and I guess I'm gonna make this true or false, or maybe multiple choice in a couple instances. And I don't know if the format is going to work, because maybe the pattern will make the answers obvious, but they're interesting little factoids nevertheless that maybe you'll enjoy.
Okay, so what you're going to do is read us factoids, and you're going to ask us if we think that they're true or false?
I think that's how I'm going to start. With some of these, I might take a little bit of a different route, but let's just see where it goes.
Cool.
But the information, I think, is fun in any case.
Let's do it.
There are more trees on Earth than there are stars in our galaxy.
False.
True.
False.
True. It's so true.
Okay. I say false.
Right. The answer is true.
No shit.
What is that?
Let me. I have a little bit more information on this one. The estimated stars in the Milky Way galaxy, 3 to 400 billion. The estimated trees on Earth, 3 to 4 trillion.
Wow.
It's by a huge margin. And that one kind of shocked me. A little weird.
Yeah, that's wow. Okay, I stand corrected.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, how about this one? There are more tigers in private collections in Texas than there are left in the wild.
True.
Because I heard that on Joe Rogan, actually.
I've heard this recently,
too. Apparently, there are 3,200 tigers left in the wild, which means there are more than 3,200 tigers in Texas in private collections.
How do these people
Isn't that
in Texas
strange?
get these tigers?
I guess they have so much
It's
fucking
legal.
oil money that they're just like, I need me a fucking tiger.
No, I'm just thinking of the transportation of these tigers, the
I've
money
read a lot.
needed, how much they cost to get a tiger.
I've read a lot about this over the years, not specific to the tiger, but just in general, that in Texas, there's a lot of wild animal collections. I think the law there is maybe very liberal on who's allowed to possess these types of animals.
Right.
Lots of rare animals, lots of just exotic animals are in Texas.
So strange.
Weird. Yeah. The next one. Which one? Let's see. Okay. Actually, the United States of America and the Holy Roman Empire both existed at the same time. True or false?
Say that one more time.
The United States of America and the Holy Roman Empire both existed at the same time. True or false?
False.
Well, just with the way this is going, I'm going to stick with the pattern of true.
Yeah, that's where I thought it might be getting a little obvious after we go through a few. But this one really struck me. It is true that they did exist at the same time. The United States of America, as we all should know, basically came into being in 1776 when we declared our independence.
Right.
The Holy Roman Empire existed in some form up till 1806.
Huh.
And I know it was around, I think, in the 14 or 1500s, maybe earlier. So
that's what when
weird.
I think of the fall of the Roman Empire, I don't think of 18 something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's kind of where my brain went.
Well, the Holy Roman Empire isn't specifically the Roman Empire. It's one that existed predominantly in Northern Europe, Germany being the center of it mostly. Bohemia as a kingdom was part of it. Austria, a lot of surrounding countries there. There. It was started in some people's view by Charlemagne, which is a Frankish king. And it was just, it existed in some form, apparently all into the 1800s. I had no idea, but when I read that,
That's
really
strange.
struck me. Yeah. Again, the pattern might be making some of this obvious, but
Well, I have a fun
more
fact I want to throw in, though.
Well, you know what? So you go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I just recently learned that Anne Frank and Martin Luther King were born the same year.
Really?
That blew my mind. I didn't know that.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Martin Luther King Jr., I should say. Junior.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, so what you should do is you should read the next few ones. You should read them you should realize that we're going to keep picking true if you keep saying this pattern. So you should flip the story around a little bit so that it could be true or false. You know what I'm saying? It makes it a little bit harder for us to pick.
Yeah, I think with a couple of these that might be challenging. With one of them I already have. So there's only a few more left.
Okay.
I will try to improve this section next time.
Right.
But it was kind of last minute. And
I
was
like
just
this. This is a good game.
Stuff.
This is a good game.
It's fun. It's
Yeah,
fun facts.
I like
I
this.
like it.
The next one, which is older, the Oxford University or the Aztec Empire?
Oxford University.
I'm going to go with Oxford just because I feel like it's a trick question.
That is correct.
Can't trick us.
Oxford University was established in 1096.
Oh, wow, that is a long-ass time ago.
Mm-hmm. This one I thought was kind of interesting. I think it could maybe go either way. True or false, matches were invented after the lighter.
I want to say false.
I want to say they were invented after the lighter. That's what I'm going to go with. After the lighter.
You would be correct.
Wow.
The lighter is apparently older than matches.
Which is just straight. I don't know. I would think that it would be matches first.
Well, maybe refining sulfur, maybe the chemical composition of matches they hadn't figured out chemically. Maybe it was easier to burn oil in a lighter type device than it was to refine sulfur, mine it. That would be my best guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that one was kind of weird.
I don't know. Matches seem simpler. They seem like they're made out of simpler things. So
Right.
you'd think that we would have come up with those first.
But we've been burning oil, and we know that flint and rock makes sparks. So I mean, that technology's been around for quite some time. So
yeah,
well,
I have
shit.
one more.
Okay.
And I wrote it up a little differently. Let's see. What animal is the official animal of Scotland? The unicorn, the lion, or the sheep?
The sheep.
The unicorn.
The sheep.
It's the unicorn.
No fucking way. Really?
I think I've seen all these on Reddit recently, like fairly recently.
The unicorn.
Maybe we looked at the same page somehow.
Probably.
What?
I was researching this show, and I mean, clearly this is not about our main theme, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But I just, I'm always fascinated by stuff like this.
Yeah, I never would have
weird.
guessed the unicorn. I would have guessed the sheep. I mean, I've seen Outlander. I don't think I've ever seen a unicorn in Outlander. I mean, maybe that's probably just a bad representation of all of Scotland, but I also know unicorns aren't real, so I just have no idea how that.
But maybe this is evidence that unicorns were real in Scotland at some point.
Maybe.
What does it say? What year that was established as their animal?
I did not see that information, but I know that Scotland as an entity has been around for many, many, many hundreds of years. I don't know, maybe 1,000 years or more. I don't know.
Right.
We can Google it for next time. Yeah.
So what's next?
Well, lucid dreaming is next.
Lucid dreaming.
I did a lot of research on this topic.
Awesome.
I am so fascinated by this whole entire thing. Personally, having lucid dreams.
Do you have the ability to lucid dream?
I do. A lot of people do, actually.
I have tried and I cannot figure it out.
Really? That is so... Profi, can you lucid dream?
I have done it before, but can I do it now or on a regular basis? No.
So can you control it then? Can you do it on a regular basis?
I tend to be able to do it when I take naps during the day.
Should we explain to people what lucid dreaming is first?
Yeah, okay, so I guess I can go into the science of it. I have a lot of notes on this. Where are we at?
Profile, you got super dark.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I know.
No, I didn't. For those of you who are just listening, you can't, and also you can't see his shot, but he uses his screen as his lighting source. We're going to change that because when he doesn't have a white screen, he just goes black. So anyway, moving on. Lucid dreaming. What is lucid dreaming?
Cool. So I think to go into lucid dreaming, we can go into dreaming first. So when you dream, you usually dream so you have your 5 stages of sleep. You have 1 through 4, and then you have your REM sleep or your non-REM sleep, which is called like NREM, and then REM sleep. And
which is the deepest sleep, REM sleep, right?
REM sleep,
okay.
Yeah, and that happens on cycles at the end of about 90 minutes. And during that sleep, stuff that happens with your brain is your cortex, basically, it doesn't communicate in your non-REM sleep. It does not communicate with the rest of your brain. And then during REM sleep, it communicates with the entire rest of your brain, so you can act out and actively have dreams. It paralyzes your muscles, so you actually don't act out these dreams, which is nice, or else we'd be running around and hitting our partners.
I can only imagine. Wow. Yeah, that's a safety mechanism built in, apparently.
Actually, I mean, I'm curious now that you said that. Sleepwalkers, they have the ability to get up and function. Does that come up in any of the research that you read? If they are maybe crossing over some of these sleep dream levels or something?
It actually talks about how a lot of folk who have trouble REM sleeping and have trouble getting paralyzed, basically, they have disorders during the day. They have different psychiatric disorders that they're kind of dealing with, whether it be...
But it doesn't make reference to sleepwalking and how...
I didn't read.
Okay.
I mean, that could definitely be something we talk about.
It's an interesting question, though.
Mm-hmm. Let me find... Okay, so let me just read what I wrote. So in non-REM sleep, the cerebral cortex loses ability to communicate with the brain. In REM sleep, the cerebral cortex regains communication with the brain, except for the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which is a part of your temple, or it's near your temple. And that is the stuff that's responsible for planning stuff and predicting outcomes. That's why our dreams seem so like random and weird, and we don't really know where they're going. And then lucid dreaming is when the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex has communication.
But to clarify also, that lucid dreaming means when you can take control of your dream.
Yeah, and it's because of that reason.
You can consciously take control of your dream, and you can direct your dream, essentially. Yeah. We just hadn't gotten to that, just the foundation of what it actually is.
So you can direct your scenarios that's happening in your dream. And I don't know, was there a reason, like a purpose you tried to lucid dream, Profile, since you said you can do it?
Well...
I can tell you why I want to lucid dream.
Yeah. Do we have to censor most of that?
No.
I mean,
no. Well, I guess my contact with it was many, many years ago, and when I was younger, I used to have a lot of nightmares, and they would follow a similar pattern, and there was always sort of apart. There'd be, random people. I think one of my grandfathers would be in them a lot, and I'd just kind of go through these weird scenarios, like any dream, kind of random, strange things. And then at some point, something, whether it be like some monster, something terrifying, would present itself in the dream, and my ability to run away from it would constantly go away.
That happens
and so
to me all the time.
I would drag through these like really long scenarios where I'm trying to escape something that's trying to terrorize or kill me. And it's like the slow motion process of my muscles not moving. And
that
not
happens
being able
to me all the time.
Stuff. Yeah. And so, these sort of night terrors, I got them a lot when I was young, and it was really frustrating. So, so I was, at one point, I started reading a magazine called Omni. It's no longer...
I remember that magazine.
Yeah, and it would cover sci-fi and science and different things.
It was like Wired is now.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. And there was an issue about how to control your dreams. And I thought, this is kind of interesting. And I probably was first interested in it for the same reasons as Scott. But I was reading through it, and there were some different exercises you could do to that it claimed would help you do this. I don't actually remember the exact one that I chose. I know that one that's common is going to sleep with the strong intention in your head that you sort of read over and over to yourself that you intend to be awake.
Yeah.
But I think that what happened to me originally is that I noticed when thinking about that dream or that type of dream that I was having all the time, that I knew at some point in the dream that I was in the dream, and I was terrorized by the fact that I couldn't escape it. And there was that one little moment of consciousness. I felt like there was a seed of that there. And when I read this article, it kind of helped reinforce that. So it got to a point, there was, I think, one or two in particular where that was happening. And I remembered, wait a minute. I had this like, wait a minute moment. And suddenly I knew I was in the dream. So suddenly I did want, at some point, get that consciousness that I know what's going to happen. I can try to divert this. And I think what I ended up doing was not so much a detailed control of the dream as much as I was able to start forcing myself awake before the scary part happened. Because I gained the consciousness in the middle of it, and I forced my eyes open in the middle of these really intense dreams. And after I had done that a handful of times, the dreams never came back.
What's your experience with them, Cody?
Well, I kind of learned about it in high school. A friend was talking to me about lucid dreaming. I thought it was really fucking cool, and was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to be able to do this and train myself. So I looked up a couple different methods that you can, I guess, train yourself to do it. One being the spontaneous jumping into a lucid dream, which is what sounds like Profi you had done, and that's called DILD, D-I-L-D. It's dream-induced lucid dreaming, where you just like notice something's off, like the clock is weird, which always, if you look at a dream, if you use the light switches and the lights don't change, that's a sign that people use to kind of wake themselves up to gain lucidity in these dreams. Also, the clocks always read weird stuff. But other ones are the mild, which is, I think it's mnemonic-induced lucid dreaming, and that's where you're telling yourself over and over again. Or you think of a recent dream that you've had, and then kind of like put yourself back into that and be like, I'm dreaming, I'm dreaming, I'm dreaming, I'm dreaming. And you tell yourself over and over again that you're dreaming so that you know that you're awake. And then there's wild, which is wake-induced lucid dreaming, where you keep your brain awake and stimulated as you fall asleep. And you end up feeling all these weird things, like your body will start to fall asleep and you feel like you have a lead blanket over you, and you get kind of panicky, which it sounds like that's what you were kind of doing was when you were falling asleep.
Well, I don't remember so much the lead blanket kind of stuff when I was falling asleep. I think the first one that you pointed out is probably what it is. There was some sort of a continuous marker in the dreams that I started to be able to identify as me being in a dream, and then I figured out how to use that to force myself out of the dream. But one thing that's really kind of triggered a memory for me with what you were just describing, that last one, what was it called again? The last
wake-induced lucid dreaming.
This is almost I think I read a little bit about this when I was looking into this as well. This feeling like there's a lead blanket or feeling the paralysis hit as you're passing out. This is exactly what people feel who induce remote viewing.
Yeah.
Which I guess if you believe that what's happening is true, and remote viewing is the ability to essentially leave your body in a certain dream state of some sort and actually go view things in other places, but actually have the information when you come back, like have it be real, like you really left.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder if these things sort of cross over. I mean, I think remote viewing is a whole different discussion we could have on here sometime. But I'm curious why that mechanism seems similar. I mean, maybe people who think they're remote viewing are really just having lucid dreams like this. But then again, there's a lot of other weirdness about the results from remote viewing. So I don't know. It just triggered a strange memory. Like the onset reads very similarly.
Speaking of remote viewing, I feel like I've seen, I think I've talked about this, how when I was like 16 years old or something, I took like a psychic development course and they were talking to us about remote viewing and all these types of, I guess, meditative ways and astral projection. But doesn't the government have a video that trains people to remote view to spy on leaders of other countries or some weird stuff like that?
There is. And actually, you know what? I stand corrected because you just mentioned
astral projection.
Astral projection is actually what I was just describing. I confused the two because of the results being similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, there have been government projects, and this is probably a great topic for another time to really delve into. But there have been official government projects that lasted years where they had people learning how to do things like this for spying and how to identify
remote viewing
targets. Yes.
That's so interesting.
Right.
That's so cool that we do that.
Yeah,
it's
and the results.
The mind.
Yeah, it's
remote viewing
weird.
Though has some. It's it's not always an exact science. Some people say that there are some people who say that they've gotten some astounding results, and then some of the data shows that it doesn't always work. So it's I don't know how.
What's that thing you're playing with, Scott? your fidget toy.
This is my fidget toy.
What are they called?
Yeah, this is like the new craze. I got myself one of these. I'm very fidgety in general. I typically tend to take out most of my fidgeting on my own fingers because I pick all the time. So I decided to get one of these so that I just have something, because I can focus on things and do this at the same time. In fact, I think I focus better when I'm able to allow my ADD to do this. So those of you who can see.
That would be good for people who like eat mindlessly, and you know what I'm talking about.
This is actually really, really therapeutic for me. I like it a lot.
Where did you get that?
At Safeway. It was an impulse.
Local grocery
it was an
store.
Impulse buy, and I had read about them online for a couple of weeks. Yeah, it's heavy, and I'd read.
Do they sell those at Face? Oh, no, sorry.
They do now.
Safeway.
They do now.
Really?
Yeah. It was an impulse buy. It was one of those last minute things you saw. I saw it in the checkout line, and I'm like, I just read about those. I bought it, and I love it. I just sit there, and I can focus, and my body, all this extra energy I have, just seems to like focus itself on doing this thing in my mind, and I can actually focus my mind on other important tasks while my body takes out its nervous energy on spinning this thing.
And they're called fidget toys.
Well, you can Google it.
When I first saw those, I thought they were totally idiotic, but I stand corrected. I mean, if it's really working,
it's really helpful for me. It's really helpful for me. I think we should definitely discuss ADD. I had it when I still have it. But I had it bad when I was a kid. I was on Ritalin. They put me on Ritalin. I was not a great student because I just wasn't able to focus on learning repetitive, boring factoids that,
Yeah.
As a child of the 70s and 80s, that was what the education system was like, and I didn't do very well in it. So
let's write that down as a show topic sometime, because there's some really, really interesting aspects.
I think that's a great idea.
I like that.
And the medications people are receiving.
And I can tell you firsthand of what it was like. I mean, I was on Ritalin, so I understand.
Well, now that I've completely derailed the conversation while focusing on your
toilet. Yeah. So let's go.
Well, how were your dreams when you were on this medication? Do you?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I just so back onto lucid dreaming. I've had a couple of lucid dreams in my life that I was able.
Were they pornographic, control. Scott? Were they pornographic?
Potentially, possibly.
Yeah.
You don't remember the couple.
Remember. My wife Naomi. She is able to. She says that she can lucid dream pretty regularly, and she actually says that she can make herself orgasm in her dream, like without having to do anything. She just literally can think of it and it happens.
So it's a self-induced wet dream, basically.
Yeah, I would. Shit, I wish I could do that, but I can't even have a lucid dream. Like maybe I've had two in my lifetime, but for some reason. I have a lot of dreams where I'm trying to escape still as well.
So
can't explain why.
Well, okay.
So with the escaping aspect of it, I was doing research on this, and the reason why we have just these crazy, outlandish dreams, trying to escape things, it's an evolutionary thing. We're always trying to survive and train our brains for future potential things, and it makes these weird links too. So you can take, like, you're out on a boat somewhere, but you're naked, and you're also having all these fears
in school, naked.
Yeah, just weird shit all linked together that has no correlation, but it's your brain trying to come up with scenarios that could possibly be. And the emotions, that's what's important. Are the emotions that you feel are real? And you're just trying to problem solve creatively. Yeah.
It's really interesting how your brain puts together scenarios, though, because I'm 42 years old, and I still have dreams of when I was in the boys' ranch when I was a kid and when I was in high school. Like I said, it's almost like that awkward teenager thing that we all go through. I still go through that in my dreams sometimes, and it's really strange as an adult to still be dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that when they come back, you're having the same basic dream over and over that you had back then?
Often,
or it's just
often, yeah.
That's funny because I know that when I was having those dreams, and the very rare moments when I still have them, it's usually following the same type of blueprint. Sometimes I've had, I think, almost the exact dream over and over and over and over.
Reoccurring dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Which might have helped me actually when I was able to kind of gain lucidity to some extent, because the pattern had become so ingrained that I could tell what was about to happen next.
Sure. Wow.
So Cody, tell us a little more about your lucid dreaming. I'm interested. Do you use a technique to do it? Is it intentional? Do you just find that you're conscious when you're in dreams, or do you have any dream stories for us? You're the resident expert now. So.
Nowhere near an expert. I feel like when I first started, I didn't really know what I was doing. So I tried all these methods. I tried the wild one where you kind of go into a meditative state and you focus on the patterns on the back of your eyelids when your eyes are shut, and you just focus on your breathing and focus very intently on blood flow and just random little things where you're not really moving. I know a couple tricks where try not to swallow.
Really? I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, just so you're not using muscles, I guess, and just don't move and just sit there, and you'll have just loud ass noises happen in your have you guys ever had that where you're about to fall asleep and you have that loud like whoosh, like these weird whirring noises?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Once in a while.
No, you don't.
No, can't remember anything like that. No.
Okay. Well, I have that frequently. And that's like when you're on the verge of being able to have a lucid dream, is when you're hearing those noises. And it's kind of like, it sounds like when you talk about blasting off when you're taking a drug, is you just go through
DMT
a dimension.
specifically.
DMT,
it's not just any drug, DMT specifically, but that's for another conversation.
Right, but we can go into that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't even know.
Well, actually, when you do DMT, one of the things that a lot of people, a shared experience between a lot of people is a sort of buzzing noise, like a loud sort of buzzing noise, and sort of in your head, which they say when you dream that your pineal gland excretes DMT, so it may be the same thing. I'm not sure, I don't know, but that may be attributed to DMT being released in your pineal gland, because that's what they say happens when you dream.
Really? I'd love to read more into the dream part. I totally believe it. To me, most of what I've read usually says that our bodies get flushed with it at the point of death, which is where some have hypothesized that it's the mechanism that separates the spirit and the physical. But yeah, definitely, at least in my experiences, the onset of DMT is a sort of violent removal of your spirit from your physical body into a whole lot of other stages, which we can go into when we do a show on it.
I think our DMT show needs to be like a 2 or 3 part show because it's such a complex topic,
right?
And it relates to dreams, and it relates to birth, and it relates to death, and so many other things. I'm not sure that one show is big enough to contain the whole topic.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
Go on. No, I was just going to say that might actually be similar for a number of different drugs we could probably talk about in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited for those shows.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that soon. Actually, I was talking to my brother-in-law, Forrest, who's probably watching this right now. He's probably stoked I'm talking about him. But I mentioned to him that we wanted to do a psychedelics show, or specifically DMT, and he's like, I'll sign up. I'll do the before and after. I was like, well, Cody wants to do it as well. So for those of you who are watching this,
I've never done any of these psychedelic drugs.
She's never done any of these before, and we thought it might be a cool thing to do for the show. We talk about the before, how we feel about it before, and then she goes off and does her own thing. I'm not giving them to her, just so you know. I'm not giving anyone
I don't know where
drugs.
to get them.
I'm not giving anyone any drugs.
Just remember that even when we're off the air, if you say something different, your cell phone might pick it up and beam it to someone. So.
But then an after experience of what your experience was afterwards, specifically with DMT, because I mean, acid mushrooms, they're definitely life-changing compounds, but DMT has definitely been the biggest life-changing compound for me. I'm not afraid to die anymore because of DMT.
I think that's the one I want to start with.
That's bold.
I know. I get weird. People say weird things to me when I say that.
That's bold.
I think it's the best thing to do.
I agree.
There was a point in time where
everything else will pale in comparison to that.
Exactly.
Afterwards.
It just seems like such a beautiful experience. I've seen people do it.
I don't know if everything else will pale, but I know that for myself, I used to administer it to people, and there were some occasions when I administered it to people who had never done any other drug. And it seemed to kind of make sense, because I think with DMT, you lose your ability to control anything, and you sort of reach a singularity, and it's hard to get scared at the singularity.
Yeah.
I think it was you're along for the ride, but you're almost too disconnected to have a super negative time if it's properly dosed. So I don't know.
Well, let's not get too deep into DMT, because that's definitely for another 2 or 3 shows, maybe in conjunction. We do something where they do the before, preparing, and then after, or maybe we even film it. That would be an interesting thing to do on the show to see.
Oh my god, I don't know.
For someone who's never done it before, I think that might be a bad idea, just because of my experience. I think that any pressure and having any sort of stimulus is not where you want your brain to be. So I wouldn't recommend it. But we'll talk about DMT in another show. But it does sort of tie into dreaming.
Well, are you lucid during these? Are you?
Yes,
you are lucid.
Well, I don't want to say that you have any control over what's happening.
So you're not lucid.
I don't
does
think
lucid mean having control?
I believe so.
I don't know that because you're aware. You're aware. Oh, you're definitely you're not gone. You're conscious. It's not like other drugs where if you've been partying all night, you sort of just get wacky and you're disassociative. It's disassociative in terms of you feeling your body, but your mind is completely sharp when it happens.
I
don't know.
Dream?
It's weird. It's totally different.
It was for me. It was for me.
It's totally different.
Well, let's
me.
not get into DMT. Do we want to go down this hole?
No, we don't have to. Yeah. But I think that there's different takes on that experience because it's extremely hard to put into normal words, and so everyone's going to describe it differently. But I think back to dreaming. I don't know. Let's. I would like to hear more from you, Cody. Actually, because what experiences have you had? You've talked about the exercise you would sort of do to achieve it, but what would you do when you were there? Are you the type of person who would try to fly or try to do different things? Were you trying to deal with a repetition of dreams that you were trying to escape? What was it for you as an experience?
I definitely say just it wasn't trying to deal with the repetition of dreams, or I feel like it was more toward problem solving, and of course flying and sex and that type of stuff that you should be enjoying while you're lucid dreaming.
Fuck yeah.
If you can
Jesus
do
Christ.
that, hell yeah, do that.
Okay, so did you come? Would you say, just like Naomi, you can achieve orgasm in a dream state? Because I think that's what everybody really wants to know.
Yeah.
You know, I think
I've never been able to do it.
I'm
just being honest. I mean, like, that's fucking. This is the show. Let's fucking put it out there.
Yeah.
Naomi, so Cody, what do you think?
Well, okay, so I want to talk about my experience because I don't know if I finished, and maybe I should go back and like, whoever this partner in that dream was, I should hold them accountable to make me finish. But
seems fair.
It does seem fair. But
Totally.
you can feel, it's so strange because you could feel, I was so lucid, you can feel the body, you can smell, you can
It's like being there. Oh, it's definitely like being there.
It's
absolutely.
fucking weird.
There's I don't think that your brain can discern what's real and what's not at that point. I agree. Like,
I knew it was fake though, and I knew that I had like put myself down into like this meditative state. Like a lot of times when I'm trying to meditate and I lay down, I'll go into a lucid dream, and this just happened to be one of those times, and it's just so strange just how it feels. I don't even.
Oh no!
So
real.
is that saying that you did orgasm, or that you didn't, and you should blame your lucid dream partner?
I should blame my lucid dream partner, and I'll go back.
It's a shame.
I'll go back
and hold him accountable.
Hold them accountable.
Them accountable. Ooh, them accountable.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I guess I have a question for you. If
awesome.
In your experience of the lucid dream, so you had a level of consciousness because it was a lucid dream, but did you have the ability to dictate what was going to happen from moment to moment? Could you have replaced that partner with a better one?
I honestly, I couldn't see anything. I don't know if I was blindfolded in this lucid dream or what, but I couldn't see anything. Kinky.
Yeah.
Did
you hear the crack of a whip at any point? Or?
I did not. No whips in that dream. But so I don't feel like I was able to control anything in that specific dream, but there are other dreams.
So it wasn't lucid then. I mean, so have we defined lucid dreaming as the ability to control one's dreams in the moment?
I don't know, because I was so aware. I was so aware that I was dreaming.
But you were aware you were dreaming.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, how that definition happens, because I have always thought of it as being consciously aware, but I suppose part of being consciously aware is having some measure of control over a dream. Like I've heard or I've read about both in the context of lucid dreaming. I've never thought about that separately. You know, if you could have one and not the other. Just because you're aware, does that mean you're lucid dreaming, or do you have to be able to control the dream?
I would guess that lucid dreaming would be the awareness of it. I don't necessarily know that it's a connotation in terms of being able to control, because I've had dreams where I knew I was dreaming.
Yeah, and that might just
and
be a muscle that
it.
You have to strengthen to be able to control.
Exactly. I agree. I
agree with both of you. I would think it's just the ability to understand you're in a dream.
Absolutely.
And consciously aware.
Right.
Yeah. So tell us more.
Well, I probably didn't even want to change anything in that dream. I was probably just going with it because I was having a good time. So there was nothing really to change.
So the quality was good, even though you didn't actually get to orgasm.
10 out of 10 dream. I don't remember if I did.
Right.
I don't.
I wonder if it would have woken you up while you were having an orgasm.
God, I don't know.
Can you sleep through that? I mean, there's a physical reaction, something like that. Just the way your muscles and body would behave.
Well, I mean, do guys sleep through wet dreams? Yeah.
I've never had a wet dream in my life. I've never had a wet dream. Like I've dreamt about having sex, but I never woke up with semen all over me before. Like that's not ever happened to me.
That's funny. It's a total. It's same with me. I've had dreams where I've had sex and I was very close to orgasm and I was super excited by it.
Yeah,
and then I would wake up like right before, like I was being cheated
every
out of
time.
The finish.
Every time. I totally. And when I talked to Naomi about this, she's like, that's a bummer for you.
That's a bummer.
She's like, I come in my dream all the time. I'm just like, I'm so jealous.
Well, okay, that just makes me think. Do you know how they have those workshops where you can learn how to mentally have an orgasm without
Fucking
doing
sign
anything.
me up, man. I would love that.
Well, I think those are linked. Those are linked. They have to be.
Possibly.
We have the power to be able to orgasm without touching.
Have you heard about that mushroom that they recently discovered in Hawaii? It's this orange mushroom that apparently 3 out of 4 girls, if you smell this mushroom, the scent of it or whatever it gives off makes a girl instantly orgasm. Have you not heard about this?
Do they mail
I've
those?
read about it.
Yeah.
I've read about it. That would be an interesting topic to cover when we have a show talking about mushrooms.
No. But the reason I brought that up is if it's something that can be triggered mentally easily, just to have a physical reaction like an orgasm. I maybe it's the same correlations, triggering something in your brain, like the mushroom or whatever happens in the dream. That's the only reason I brought that up because
we can test this. Cody, up for it?
Yeah, we can do that one live.
Yeah, I think we should do that one live.
If we can order these mushrooms, we totally have to do that for a show.
What are they called? Yeah, we need to. What are they called?
We'll look it up after this show.
Okay,
we'll look it up after the show.
Yeah.
But if we can get one of those, we're totally doing that.
That would be.
It'll be the most popular episode ever.
Why does it not work on men?
Men don't respond to it. In fact, the majority of guys that said that it smells like shit. Like.
Weird that it just goes through your olfactory system and
apparently only females respond in the way that females respond to it.
Well, I would say I personally, on an attraction level, when I'm looking at people I'm attracted to, sense of smell is one of the most important things to me.
Absolutely.
But is that for you guys or?
I think that's with everybody. I think that has something to do with pheromones, and maybe it's linked to our genetic compatibility. Maybe it has something to do with how you smell, how you perceive someone's pheromones, and their smell has to do with how your brain perceives genetic compatibility.
I want to add one more thing before we go back to lucid dreaming, but they have these pheromone parties, which I think are so freaking cool. So what you do is they give you a t-shirt and you sleep in it for 3 nights, and then you put it in a Ziploc baggie and bring it to this pheromone party. And what they have you do is go and smell everyone else's t-shirts, and whoever's you like has a number on the bag. You hold up a picture, and that's like broadcasted on a wall, and you find that person throughout the night.
That's interesting.
I want to do that so badly.
That sounds like fun.
I've never heard of that. That's cool.
Pheromone party.
Yeah, I was introduced to it by it was a Netflix episode, The Moaning of Life. It's an interesting show, but awesome. I just think that's an awesome thing. But lucid dreaming.
Yeah, back to lucid dreaming. Because now all we want to talk about is sex now.
That's okay.
Always just goes that way.
Big discretion.
It's a primal instinct. But so my lucid dreams specifically, I've flown, and I think that is a lot of fun. It took me a while to get there, though. And just being able to view things from a different standpoint is nice, and put in different things that I want to address in my life. So say I want to work on... Recently, I'm trying to work on putting myself out there as much as possible to purposefully get rejected as much as possible.
Really?
I guess I'm trying to use reverse psychology on myself, so I at least put myself out there more often and accept that, I'm going to get rejected. So I'll put myself in scenarios where I can potentially get rejected and deal with the emotions that come with that.
So I guess to clarify, because when we were talking about the sex dream, it was dark and you were conscious, but you didn't have any control over the dream itself. When you refer to these experiences, it sounds like you're engineering them yourself. So I guess my first question would be, A, is that true? You're able to dictate what happens? And B, did it take you time and practice to get there from the point of starting with only like a level of consciousness and then moving on to being able to control what happens?
I'm not sure if there are certain levels that I'm reaching that give me the ability to have this much control in lucid dreams. I don't know if you reach a certain point where you can have that. I'm not sure if that's studied.
You did.
But yeah, I can. I did.
So now if you're in a lucid dream, you can just immediately decide what you want that dream to be or how you want it to go, and then it follows your intention?
Or does it vary?
Is it
varies.
Clear?
It varies because some of the times I can just add things into the dream or add a certain location that I want to go to or add certain people. But at times there's still that weird dream aspect where my brain is still trying to throw in other shit with me in my dream. that I kind of have to deal with.
How often do you have them?
I have them when I nap specifically, but you can have them when you wake up early in the morning, which happens. So I would say at least a couple times a month that I have these. And I mean, it's 1 in 10 people who have them regularly. And I'm sure you're able to focus and work on it and make sure that you can do it with a lot of work.
Oh, interesting.
Sounds like it takes, like for someone like me, my dreams are so random and so out of control sometimes. And I think a lot of it, my dreams at least, and maybe everybody's, has a lot to do with where you're at in life and whether or not you feel like you're in control of things or not. I tend to have a lot of dreams where I'm escaping things, predators, or whether it's a lion or someone who's trying to kill me. When I'm struggling, I tend to have a lot of dreams when I'm out of control. But then when life goes good, I'm more likely to have a lucid dream. When life is going good, that's at least the correlation for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I don't know if I would link those.
Tell us a lucid dream you've had, Scott.
My lucid dreams tend to manifest themselves in the form of flying for me. I have a lot of flying dreams, and when I'm able to, when I know that I'm in a dream that I can control, I tend to fly. And it's funny, I'd usually will flap my arms and I'm just lifted up into the air, and I can fly around. Though mine manifest themselves in the form of flying dreams mostly.
Yeah.
So.
How often do you have those compared to, how often do you dream, and then how many of those dreams would be lucid dreams?
I dream every night. Every night it's some fucking crazy shit. It's some strange scenarios, oftentimes with components that don't seem to fit together, locations and people and just weird time periods back and forth. I mean, not a lot of it makes sense to me. There's a lot of problem solving in my dreams. Just in terms of trying to figure out sometimes puzzles, which is strange. Sometimes it's just trying to figure out how to just stay alive. I've dreamt of nuclear war, but I mean, there are times when I'm able to get a grasp on the fact that I'm actually in a dream. There have been very few times when I've just realized, wow, I'm in a dream right now, and I've literally just been able to take control of it. My level of lucid dreaming is on a very rudimentary level in terms of just I know that I've got some control over some things, but I don't very often have lucid dreams where I have full control over pretty much everything. Where I'm like just the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, controlling the whole thing.
So it sounds like both of you seem to remember your dreams quite a bit.
Oh,
absolutely. Do you remember yours?
I dreamt about going to Burning Man before I even knew what Burning Man was.
And was it accurate when you went?
Actually, yeah. It was one of the most profound dreams that I've ever had. Because you had, when I met you, you told me about Burning Man when we were working together at M Audio. But I didn't really know much about it. It was just kind of your stories. And I never really even seen any pictures. Several years later, I actually had a dream where I was out on this desert plain, and people in strange costumes, and there was actually a building that was like an inflatable pig, kind of just weird shit. And then I saw this one sculpture, or what I don't even know that I knew that it was a sculpture in my dream, but it was this representation. There's a hand reaching out and a face trying to. It was like a demon trying to claw its way out of the earth, which I had no idea in my dream what that meant. Several years later, I went to Burning Man for the first time, and I saw that exact same sculpture that I saw in my dream, that someone had created. The
same sculpture.
That's
it was
weird.
Really?
It wasn't the exact same, but it was much like that, a hand clawing, a creature clawing its way out of the earth.
Same premise.
Same
message.
And of course the desert and strange costumes and strange buildings. I had literally dreamt of Burning Man years before I even knew or saw any images of what it was. Very, very strange. It was a very profound moment for me.
Wow.
So dreaming is powerful for me. I have a lot of. I won't get into all of the stories. That was just one of. It was almost like it was telling the future. For me, So
that's so strange.
That's bizarre.
Do you remember
For me,
yours?
It's strange. I don't tend to, or when I'm waking, I have a flash of all of it that immediately starts to evaporate to my frustration, and then it goes away. Though I've had, there's a series of, I'll tell a little story. When I was starting to study metaphysics and the occult for a while, this was a handful of years ago, one of the exercises that was recommended that you start is to write down everything that you dream about. And so every day when I woke up, the first thing that I would do is write down as much as I could, and you'd call it a dream book. I'd write down as much as I could into this dream book. And so at first, it was very brief because, like I mentioned, my dreams would always escape me so quickly. But what I realized, and was probably the logic behind this whole thing as well, is that within the second or third time that I had written down what I was dreaming, I was able to go from like a page to like 3 pages to like 4 pages to like 5 pages. And it seemed like the act of making myself write it down was aiding in my recollection of the dreams, which in the context of the metaphysical stuff was probably more because there's information and things that you can dream about. So I found that I was able to start remembering really, really detailed stuff about the dreams while I was doing this exercise. I only did this for a little while, and in the meantime, I don't tend to remember my dreams very well anymore. But it does seem like by writing them down or forcing yourself to focus on what you just experienced, your brain sort of trains itself to get better at remembering. It was very profound how strong of an effect this had.
A lot of time, also why I think it's correlated to DMT is all of my DMT experiences, I have a very hard time recollecting later because it's so beyond what your mind can grasp. Like you see colors that don't exist. You hear sounds you would never hear in normal setting, like just in normal life.
Yeah.
So when you come back, it's hard for a lot of people to recollect the entirety of the experience, which a lot of times with dreams, you're there, everything seems real, and then 2 hours after you wake up, you dreamt, but you can't remember a goddamn thing about it.
That's pretty interesting. Just being not being able to remember some things, because just thinking about how many ideas that people have had that could have became something large and huge and just so.
But there are
amazing.
some dreams that I have that I can still remember years later.
Yeah.
I don't know what makes those dreams special, that they're so prominent in my mind that I can remember details of dreams, and then other dreams I can't even fucking tell you what I was doing.
Yeah.
Like 2 hours later after I wake up.
Well, have you guys read about any of inventions or songs or whatnot that have come up from dreams, that came from dreams? I have a list of a couple of them if you guys want me to read them.
I'd love to hear.
Yeah, let's hear about
people
that.
who make movies or art or something. Yeah, there are a lot of
Clive Barker.
Clive Barker is an author who I am a huge fan of. He wrote Magica, one of my favorite books of all time, and he said that entire book came from a dream.
Yeah,
it's fucking intense.
Yeah, Stephen King's The Dreamcatcher, Edgar Allan Poe, a lot of his poetry, The Beatles, Yesterday, Christopher Nolan's Inception.
Right.
That movie was based on.
Right.
And then Richard Linklater's Waking Life. And I wanted to talk about that movie because that movie is such a great movie. I love that movie so much. It teaches you so many things, and it's all based around a lucid dream.
I need to watch that again.
I think everyone should watch it. And this guy has directed Boyhood, Dazed and Confused, School of Rock with Jack Black.
What? Really?
Isn't that crazy? I just found that out this morning.
That's funny.
So can you describe or give a brief synopsis on what that movie was about? Because I don't think I've seen it.
I'll read I can't put into words. I wish I could put into words what it means to me, but I'll read it. It says, transcending the boundaries of technology and imagination, Waking Life is a revolutionary breakthrough in film animation. In Waking Life, the main character travels through a series of encounters and observations in a world that may or may not be reality. It is this surreal existence flourishing with endless ideas and possibilities that ultimately leads to the question, are we sleepwalking through our waking state or wake-walking through our dreams?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting movie. I'm going to watch it again.
It's so
tonight
good.
or tomorrow.
It's so good.
How do you see it? Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, it's animated. It's
like
animated too, but it's not. I don't think it's. I think it's animated over real film.
It is, yeah. And it's on Netflix.
So
it is on Netflix.
They shot the movie on with a camera, and then someone animated
a bunch
the
of
live
artists.
action shots over like what was already there shot on camera. Does that make sense?
That rings a bell.
There's another movie with Keanu Reeves actually where they did something similar to that. It was about the drug movie. Let me look that up really quick because there's another one that's similar to that.
But
no.
Waking Life, there a bunch of animators got together and just went over what was already filmed.
A Scanner Darkly. That was the one I was thinking of. But that. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, I just wanted to suggest it to everyone. It's such a great movie, and that's a movie you can watch a million times and get something new every single time.
I want to watch that again tonight. I want to
watch
so
it.
Is it just visual, or is there a lot of dialogue?
It's all dialogue. The whole entire thing is dialogue, but the visual is such a profound aspect to it. You can honestly just listen to the movie and pick up so much, but the visual really just gets you in that weird. It honestly feels like you're taking a drug, which I really wouldn't know. It looks like you're tripping,
right?
For what I would imagine tripping being.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that episode soon enough. So
it seems like we keep wanting to get
everybody
there.
has a different experience, so it's just different for everybody. But yeah, no, it's I'm gonna put that on our Netflix list for this week.
So, Cody, you mentioned using your ability to lucid dream to sort of give yourself scenarios that help you grow. For instance, I'm kind of curious if any of the research that you read about talks about that, or if you've read about any other people's stories that are similar to yours, or is that common? I don't know. What else have you read about how lucid dreams tend to be used or function for different people who've been studied?
I've read about non-REM sleep versus REM sleep, and in our non-REM sleep, we still are able to dream, which I didn't think that was possible. But you are able to dream. But those dreams are the more boring ones, where you're like driving down the road, and
sure,
that's it, or you're walking, and you're just your brain is kind of going over the acts that you already know how to do. And then REM sleep is where you kind of get a chance to put yourself in these weird scenarios to problem solve. It's creative problem solving. I just lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
I'm like thinking about dreams. Okay. I'm like, oh my God. There's just so much information. And something that I did want to talk about with dreaming is comas. Like a lot of people waking up from comas, and they have so many dreams, and they have so many things that they recall doing.
One person that you said even lived an entire lifetime. He had a family and had like a life, and woke up from this, and which is probably for another. We could actually do an entire show on this. But he had basically woke up and had an entire life, a family and kids, and he was looking for his kids and wife in real life after. God, it's super sad.
That is one of the saddest things.
Yeah, it's But what it comes down to is what is reality at that point. I mean, and all kinds of authors and directors and people have touched on this for a while now. What is reality exactly?
Well, I think the thing to take from that is that these emotions you feel are so real.
Yeah.
And that you still can get this connection with just from having a dream, and
sure.
That's what you're experiencing, are the emotions.
Right. Well, the mind is a powerful thing. This even ties into an article that I read recently, where if you imagine yourself running, your brain actually perceives it as like your physical body is actually doing it.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of athletes use it. It's visualization.
Yeah,
it still fires the same.
Yeah, the same neurons are firing when you imagine yourself running if you were actually running physically in real life.
I remember doing that when I played volleyball.
So the question is, what's real and what's not? I mean,
I think everybody is using their brain as the tool, the mechanism by which they establish, all their perception is coming from the tools that they have that have been sort of organized and analyzed by the brain. So in a sense, reality is relative to you and the tool you're using, right? But at the same time, obviously there's a certain element that's shared between all of our independent brains that is consistent. And I suppose that if one were to try to come up with a real reality, it is those pieces that we all share.
Sure.
I guess that would be the only thing that distinguishes us from what's happening internally on its own.
Cool. Well, should we call it quits? This is a pretty good conversation.
Call it Quirks.
Call it Quirks.
Call it Quirks.
Call it Quirks.
Yeah, I think we've stretched this one out a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good show. I like that we broke it up into different sections and we didn't go on too long about any particular thing. I think this is a good formula.
Yeah. We'll just throw out some recommendations because I think people should watch Waking Life 100%. That movie is fantastic. And try lucid dreaming on your own. Yeah. Try it. There are different methods. Look up the mild, wild, or dialed methods and see just what will work for you. And just try it and see what you can accomplish because it'll just make you such a better creative problem solver. Yeah. And it helps you in your daily life every day. And
I'm sorry. I was thinking if anybody who's watching or listening to this show has experience with lucid dreaming or is inspired to try lucid dreaming based off of some of what you heard here, it'd be interesting to have you leave that in the comments to the show because anything interesting there, we could bring it up and maybe mention it.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to talk about other people's experiences.
Absolutely. Love to know what other people's experiences are with this.
And like one last finishing point, all the time I hear people complaining about how there's not enough time in the day to do things. And you are sleeping for 8 hours. Why not get shit done while you're sleeping?
Do you want to know something really interesting? I don't want to drag this on, but I actually write music in my dreams. I come up with musical ideas that I will actually get up and they work in the song that I'm currently have on the up on the board basically. Like I will come up with ideas for songs.
That's what a lot of scientists think is the reason that we have dreams in general. It's a weird topic that no one really knows the answer to, but that's a theory.
Yeah.
So that we can solve problems.
I do a lot of problem solving for real life in my dreams. And it's actually that moment right before I wake up. It's like that sort of in-between moment of when I know I'm going to be waking up. My brain seems to be like on overdrive, coming up with like things that I will solve my everyday problems. And oftentimes they work. It's really strange.
So my question for both of you is, since you use dreams to problem solve, do you feel that you wake up more or less rested when you do it? If you spend, your 8 hours or whatever going through all these crazy experiences, working your brain, problem solving, do you get the same level of rest as
absolutely.
Maybe dreams where you're more quiet?
Yeah, same
and
for me.
Inspired. Like no matter what, if you're just feeling so tired, if something inspires you, you find a new drive of energy.
Absolutely. I'm with her on that one. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, so try it out. Let us know what you think and
leave some comments. Like, try to be nice, maybe. I've seen so many tarred
No.
comments. I want people to roast us.
Don't be nice. That's no fun.
Yeah, we
then
won't
can't
read
read you on the
those.
air and make it interesting.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning into episode 2. This is a good episode. I'm pretty down with this one. It was better balanced. I wasn't talking the whole fucking time. So.
Well, we'll really know that once we re-listen to it.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
All right, cool. Well, then
thanks everyone.
We'll see everyone later and see you soon.
Bye.
Take care.